Chapter 81. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Minato nodded slowly and said, "Let's go to the training ground together now." After saying that, he called everyone to rush to the training ground. Everyone looked at each other and followed Minato's pace. On the other side, Naruto and Sasuke came to a pavilion and sat down. Naruto looked at Sasuke's injuries and asked worriedly, "Is it really okay for you to lose so much blood?" Sasuke shook his head when he heard it. "These minor injuries are nothing to me now." At this time, the rough voice of the nine-tailed fox sounded in Naruto's consciousness. "Naruto, use my chakra to heal this kid's injuries, otherwise he will die." Naruto was a little surprised when he heard it. He didn't expect the nine-tailed fox to take the initiative to talk to him. Then he nodded, walked to Sasuke's side, and put his hand on Sasuke's shoulder. Sasuke felt the hand on his shoulder, and just as he was about to shake it off, he felt a violent but gentle chakra pouring into his body. Then Sasuke was surprised to find that his injuries were recovering at a speed visible to the naked eye. Naruto saw that Sasuke's originally bleeding wounds had all recovered, and he slowly breathed a sigh of relief. Sasuke saw that his injuries had recovered, and although he was a little reluctant, he still said to Naruto, "Thank you." Naruto was a little surprised to hear this, but still said, "Aren't we friends?" Sasuke also said, "Friends to us." At this time, a burst of applause came from not far away, and then the two heard a steady and powerful voice coming, "You two did a good job. I saw the embodiment of the will of fire in you too. Sasuke, your performance is very good. I hope you can keep up the good work." Sasuke was a little happy to hear this and said, "Yes. Hokage people." Minato smiled at Kakashi, Naruto, and Sasuke in front of him, and then said, "Let me see the results of your three people's training." Everyone was shocked when they heard this. They didn't expect that Minato actually wanted to personally test the success of the three people's training. Everyone present, except for Unohana Retsu who was just summoned, did not see, Minato killed the third Hokage and the Konoha elders. Everyone has seen the powerful and desperate strength. Even now, thinking about it still makes everyone feel terrified. Now you tell them that Minato wants to take action to test their strength. How can this not surprise everyone? Jiraiya on the side reacted and said with a smile, "Minato, your strength is too high. If you attack, it would be a waste of talent." Just as everyone was discussing, a female voice as gentle as spring breeze came, "Minato, why don't you let me check the strength of the three people?" Everyone looked at the voice and saw Unohana Retsu slowly picking up a branch from the ground and looking at Minato with a smile on his face. Minato was a little surprised to see that it was Unohana Retsu, but still said, "In that case, the three of them will have to trouble." Unohana Lai smiled slightly when she heard this. Then she came to the front of the three people, and said slowly with a smile on her beautiful face, "Go ahead, let me see your strength." Naruto was a little surprised when he heard this. "Big sister, what are you doing?" Mao no Hana Lai didn't say anything when he heard this, and signaled Naruto to take action. Uchiha Sasuke on the side did not hesitate to directly hold a kunai and kill Unohana Lai. Kakashi was a little hesitant when he saw this, so he looked at Minato because she felt that this woman came with her teacher, so their relationship must be unusual. Minato noticed Kakashi's gaze at him, and knew that Kakashi was considering the relationship between him and Unohana Lai, so he nodded slightly to Kaka, indicating that the other party didn't need to care and just take action directly. Kakashi saw his teacher's signal, and he also stared at Unohana Lai in front of him, because he felt a crisis of death from Unohana Lai, which Kakashi had never experienced before. Then Kakashi held a kunai and attacked Unohana Lai. Naruto on the side saw, Kaka also rushed towards Unohana Retsu. Naruto no longer hesitated to use his signature ninjutsu, the multiple shadow clone technique, and hundreds of shadow clones appeared on the battlefield in an instant. Unohana Retsu saw this, with a pair of beautiful eyes, looking at the hundreds of shadow clones in front of him with some surprise, obviously did not expect Naruto to have such a move. At this time, the three Magatama in Sasuke's eyes spun wildly, looking for Unohana Retsu's flaws, and saw hundreds of Naruto's shadow clones rushing towards Unohana Retsu. The shadow clones rushing towards Unohana Retsu were blown away by the huge spiritual pressure emanating from Unohana Retsu before they got close to Unohana Retsu. Boom! All the shadow clones turned into a cloud of smoke in the air and disappeared in the air. Kakashi on the side saw this, a trace of solemnity flashed in his eyes. The other party destroyed hundreds of Naruto's shadow clones just by relying on the power emanating from his body. This power was too abnormal. Anyway, Kakashi asked himself that he couldn't do it. How much chakra would be needed to destroy the enemy's shadow clones with only his own chakra? But Kakashi didn't know that Unohana Retsu used not chakra but spiritual pressure. Originally, Kakashi thought that he had the cells of the Uchiha clan and the first generation of Hashirama, and opened the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan, which made him a strong man among the shadows. But now he found that he seemed to be unable to beat even a woman next to Minato teacher. It seems that he thought too simply. Sasuke appeared behind Unohana Retsu in a flash, with lightning power emanating from his hands, and hit Unohana Retsu directly. Just when Sasuke thought that his attack hit, a gentle female voice sounded behind Sasuke, "The speed and strength are too slow," and then he used a branch to hit Sasuke out. Damn it! Sasuke. Naruto, she is too fast, be careful, Naruto heard. I know, Kakashi teacher. Then Naruto condensed a blue ball in his hand and hit the slowly approaching Mo no Hanaretsu. The Rasengan hit Unohana Retsu firmly. Naruto exclaimed, "I hit it." Unohana Retsu's figure appeared behind Naruto. Naruto felt something pressing against his back, turned around and saw Unohana Retsu looking at him with a smile on his face. Naruto was so scared that his face turned pale, and he said with all his strength, "Can you not hit my face?" Then Naruto screamed and flew backwards. Then he looked at Kakashi on the side. Seeing this, Kakashi did not dare to be careless. He quickly opened the 3 Magatama Sharingan and looked at the woman in front of him vigilantly. At this time, Naruto and Sasuke, who were knocked to the ground, slowly stood up and looked at Unohana Retsu. The three of them looked at each other, understood each other's meaning, and performed ninjutsu towards Unohana Retsu at the same time. Fire style, Great Fireball Technique. Lightning style, Chasing Fawn. Wind style, Raisin Shuriken. Suddenly, Jiraiya on the side exclaimed, "Naruto, this stinky boy, actually has such a powerful ninjutsu." Minato Namikaze saw Jiraiya so surprised, not only asked, "Jiraiya teacher, you don't know?" Jiraiya shook his head and said, "I really don't know this one." Chapter 82. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Minato remembered that in the original Naruto anime of his previous life, Naruto at that time seemed to have not yet learned this S-level ninjutsu, which seemed to be called Wind Style, Raisin Shuriken. I remember that Kakuzu died under this move. The battle between the 4 people on the battlefield continued. As the ninjutsu of the 3 people was released, the scorching heat was accompanied by a giant wolf with lightning all over its body. Under the blessing of Naruto's Wind Style, the power of the ninjutsu performed by the 3 people increased by many times. Unohana Retsu saw this. Her gentle face did not change at all, she just slowly raised a white jade hand and recited, the 81st Dwankong of Binding Dao. A white air wall rose from the ground and blocked Unohana Retsu's body. Then the attacks of the 3 people also arrived and collided with the Dwankong, making a deafening sound. Then the powerful aftermath of the 4 people spread to the surroundings, blowing the surrounding trees to the ground, and large and small cracks appeared on the surrounding ground. The 3 people stared at the smoke with nervous faces, feeling a little nervous and worried about Unohana Retsu's safety. After all, the power of the attack just now was not small, and the 3 people could not guarantee Unohana Retsu's safety. Among them, Naruto was the most worried, because she felt that this gentle big sister had an unusual relationship with Minato. Just when everyone was worried, a gentle female voice came from the smoke. "The attack you 3 launched together was pretty good. It actually made me a little interested." How could it be? She was unscathed. Impossible, absolutely impossible. The 3 of them were shocked, and Naruto and Sasuke were better. Kankan she saw this and a solemn expression appeared on his face. "My current strength has reached the level of a Kage-level warrior, but even if the 3 of them joined hands, they couldn't break the opponent's defense." At this time, Minato's voice came from the side. You three performed very well this time, especially you Naruto. If I'm not mistaken, your ninjutsu may have reached S level. Naruto scratched his head a little embarrassedly after hearing Minato's evaluation and said, in fact, it is also thanks to the help of Kakashi and Sasuke that my ninjutsu can be used to its full power. Minato continued, Kakashi and Sasuke, you two performed well. In fact, I can see that you three still have many moves and many ninjutsu that have not been used, right? Especially Kaka, I see that the white fan blade on your back seems to have not been pulled out yet. The three of them nodded when they heard this, and Minato continued with a smile, in fact, you three don't have to be discouraged. Sister Hua is very strong and has reached the Super Kage level. The three of them felt a little unbelievable when they heard this. They couldn't believe that the gentle woman in front of them actually had some Super Kage level strength, which was a strength that could be compared with the god of the ninja world. The three of them were also somewhat fortunate that they could actually fight with a Super Kage level master. Minato still didn't tell Unohana Retsu's true strength. After all, that was the power of the Six Paths level, and no one would believe it if he told it. Jiraiya heard this. I was a little shocked in my heart. You know, his strength itself belongs to the upper middle level among the Kage level masters, and he can even step into the Super Kage level after opening the Sage mode. As a result, now Minato told him that there was a Super Kage level master standing in front of him. How could Jiraiya not be surprised? On the other side, Hoshigaki Kisame rushed back to the rain village with the unconscious Uchiha Itachi, put the unconscious Uchiha Itachi in the room, and then hurried to find Nagato and told him about the mysterious masked black-robed man he met at the border of the land of Earth. Nagato asked Kisame to retreat and asked the short-haired woman beside him, what do you think of this matter, Konan? Konan shook her head and said, let's notify everyone to hold an emergency meeting. Nagato thought what Konan said made sense, so he nodded and said, Konan, please notify everyone about this matter. Konan nodded slightly and turned away. Nagato looked at the sky outside with a pair of purple eyes and sighed slightly. The ninja world is going to change. Soon, a group of guys wearing Akatsuki uniforms gathered in the meeting room. Deidara, with long yellow hair, said in a somewhat unhappy tone, I really don't know why the leader called us here again. We just had a meeting here half a month ago. The red sand scorpion, with short red hair, glanced at Deidara who was complaining and ignored him, but focused on his puppet. The old man Kakuzu looked at Deidara with a pair of green eyes and thought, if it weren't for the leader, watch here. I will definitely kill this noisy guy, dig out his heart as my spare heart, and exchange the body for a bounty, because his previous partners did the same thing. And the leader didn't say anything. Hoshigaki Kisame looked at everyone and said nothing. He just stood there quietly being a handsome man. Not long after, Tendo Pain and Konan appeared in front of everyone. Everyone shut up immediately. Tendo Pain, a pair of purple eyes swept over everyone present, and slowly said, why hasn't a Fae come yet? Deidara saw this and pouted, who knows, I don't know what this guy is doing every day, a newcomer is a newcomer. Senior Deidara, isn't it not good to say bad things about others behind their backs? Chapter 83. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Then everyone saw Ah Fei with a vortex mask on his face, slowly walking over. Seeing this, Tendo Pain slowly said, since everyone is here, I will talk about the current situation. As far as the current situation is concerned, our plan to collect tailed beasts must be put on hold first. Everyone was puzzled when they heard this. Deidara on the side asked a little unhappy, leader, why do we have to put the plan on hold? Pain heard that it is because there are variables that we cannot control in the current ninja world. Everyone fell into deep thought when they heard this, and then Uchiha Obito on the side slowly said, you are talking about Konoha's fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. Pain nodded slowly when he heard this, and everyone also understood the reason why their leader wanted to put the plan on hold. Uchiha Obito was a little anxious when he heard this. Nagato was a tool selected by himself and Uchiha Madara. If this guy postpones the plan for a few years, how can he revive Uchiha Madara, how can he realize the Moon Eye plan, and how can he stay with his beloved Lin forever? So Uchiha Obito can never accept it. Then Uchiha Obito said, although the golden flash is very powerful, don't you still have the leader? Aren't you even his opponent? That the few people on the side also showed curiosity on their faces when they heard it, wanting to see what their leader would say. After all, their leader's strength may have reached the super shadow level. They are all shadow level strongmen, but they are still not enough in front of the leader, Nagato slowly said. I'm not sure about this, because we haven't officially met with Namikaze Minato until now. Everyone nodded slowly when they heard it because they really haven't fought with Minato. Nagato paused and continued. In order to avoid great resistance when capturing the tailed beasts, I decided that our Akatsuki organization would recruit powerful S-class rebel ninjas from outside. Everyone was shocked to hear that their leader was going to recruit S-class rebel ninjas from outside. Uchiha Obito on the side was also thinking about it. I don't understand why Nagato is still waving rebel ninjas. Suddenly, the face under the mask frowned slightly. Could it be because of the appearance of Minato teacher? Thinking of this, Uchiha Obito's face under the mask was so gloomy that water could drip out. Nagato saw that everyone had different expressions on their faces, and continued expressionlessly. Kisame and Itachi were attacked when they were on a mission in the land of Earth. At this time, Nagato looked at Kisame. Seeing this, Kisame knew that this was his leader, asking him to tell the situation at that time, so he cleared his throat and said, I remember that Mr. Itachi and I went to the bounty hunter's place. Issued a task to surround and kill Konoha's fourth-generation Hokage Namikaze Minato, and nothing happened when they came back. As a result, when we arrived at the border of the land of Earth, Mr. Itachi suddenly found that someone was following us, so Mr. Itachi opened the Uchiha clan's Mangekyo Sharingan. At this point, Kisame deliberately paused. Everyone saw Kisame stopped, and they all said anxiously, why don't you continue? Did Uchiha Itachi kill that black-robed masked man? Seeing this, Kisame's expression was serious. It was that black-robed masked man. Mr. Itachi fell down with just one look. Everyone was a little surprised when they heard this. They didn't expect that such a powerful guy like Uchiha Itachi was knocked down by the other party's eyes. The other party was from the Uchiha clan like Mr. Itachi. Kisame remembered what happened that day and said solemnly, the other party also has the same eyes as Mr. Itachi. The Akatsuki organization who were watching the show on the side exclaimed, could it be the Mangekyo Sharingan? Kisame nodded slowly to indicate that everyone had heard correctly. At this time, Obito, who was disguised as White Zetsu Afei, suddenly said, this is impossible. Didn't Uchiha clan all get killed by Uchiha Itachi, except for his useless brother? Kisame heard Afei asking him, and shook his head slightly to indicate that he didn't know. Seeing this, Obito's face under the mask looked a little ugly. He thought to himself, damn, something is beyond his control again, but the most important thing now is to find out who the black-robed masked man is, and how he can have the Uchiha clan's Mangekyo Sharingan. So Uchiha Obito decided that he would go and find out after Uchiha Itachi woke up. After all, he was also a member of the Uchiha clan on the night of the extermination of the clan that year. He knew very well whether there were any survivors of the Uchiha clan. Now there is another person from the Uchiha clan, and he has opened the Mangekyo Sharingan, which may disrupt his plan. Nagato continued, from now on, everyone in the Akatsuki organization must wear black when performing tasks. The ninja with a mask on his face, according to my guess, his strength is probably among the most powerful among the Kage-level strongmen, so our Akatsuki organization needs such talents. Everyone nodded and agreed with what their leader said. Obito, what do you think we should do next? White Zetsu asked worriedly. Obito's face under the mask was a little gloomy when he heard it. He didn't expect that the matter of his teacher Minato Namikaze had not been resolved yet, and now a mysterious masked man appeared. Obito took a deep breath and tried to calm his depressed mood for a long time. Looking at the Black Zetsu who slowly appeared beside him, he asked, Black Zetsu has, but I haven't found any news about Konoha village. It seems that there is a force in Konoha village that blocks me, so I can't get into Konoha village. Obito heard it, nodded and asked, is there anything else? There is that the old man, the third-generation Tsuchikage, seems to have some small friction with the old man, the Reikage of the Hidden Cloud village, recently. I don't know if it's deeper. On the other side, In a plain house in the land of Earth, an old man sat on a throne, with a middle-aged man and a girl who looked to be about 16 or 17 years old standing beside him. They were his son and granddaughter. He sighed and said, "What does the Fourth Hokage, a simple-minded but strong-limbed guy, want to do? Is he really going to go to war with our Iwagakure village?" Chapter 84. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The girl beside her heard this, with a trace of anger on her delicate face, and then said to Anoki beside her, "Grandpa and his friends are too much, so why not go to war with their cloud village?" Hearing this, Anoki looked at himself helplessly on his old face. The silly granddaughter who was overwhelmed by anger shook her head and said, "Silly girl, you only know one thing, not the other. What do they have in the cloud village? There are two-tailed beasts. The two are wooden people and killer bee, and they are both perfect Jinchuriki, who can be completely tailed beasts. What do we have? Four-tailed Jinchuriki. Joke, according to my guess, the strength of the tailed beasts is divided according to the tails. Haven't you seen the Konoha village? Why don't other ninja villages dare to attack the land of fire? The third-generation Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo are indeed powerful, but they are not enough to make the Cloud Village dare not attack Konoha." At this time, Kuratsuchi on the side blinked, and said with a pair of bright big eyes, "Grandpa, you mean that it is because of the Nine Tails that the hidden Cloud Village dare not attack Konoha?" Anoki heard his granddaughter say this, nodding in approval, "Yes. Otherwise, can we rely on Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo, that coward?" Kuratsuchi was a little puzzled when he heard this, and asked, "Isn't the third-generation Hokage of Konoha village known as the strongest Hokage in Konoha village?" Anoki looked at his innocent granddaughter who was influenced by Sarutobi Hiruzen's will of fire, and couldn't help but secretly admire Sarutobi Hiruzen's brainwashing method. Then Anoki showed disdain on his face, "Silly granddaughter. That was Sarutobi Hiruzen's method of fooling people, in order to increase his influence in Konoha village. If he was the strongest Hokage in history, wouldn't your grandfather be the strongest Tsuchikage in history?" Speaking of this, Anoki burst into laughter. But the old man Sarutobi Hiruzen never thought that the prestige he had worked so hard to build up would finally come true. With the death of Sarutobi Hiruzen, the prestige he had built up for many years was transferred to Namikaze Minato. Then a ninja's voice was heard from outside the door, "Report to the third Tsuchikage." The battle report came from the front line. "The Cloud Village sent elite Jonin, causing heavy losses to our Rock Village. More than 300 ninjas, 120 died, more than 50 ninjas were seriously injured, and now there are only more than 100 people who can fight." Anoki's face darkened when he heard the words, and he said to the ninja who delivered the battle report, "You go down and rest first." The ninja smiled with relief when he heard the words, and slowly left the Tsuchikage office. Anoki couldn't help it anymore when he saw the other person leaving. He slapped the precious table in front of him. Under Anoki's angry palm, the table was broken into pieces and turned into debris on the ground. He angrily cursed, "This damn Fourth Hokage, Huangtu, you quickly notify the ninjas in the village to prepare for battle. Kuratsuchi, bring me the pen and paper. I want to write a letter to the Fourth Hokage of Konoha village, Minato Namikaze." Kuratsuchi was surprised and said, "Grandpa, what are you going to do?" Anoki said slowly, "Although we are not the opponent of the Cloud Ninja village, if Konoha knows that we are going to war with the Cloud Ninja, do you think Konoha will unite with us to deal with the Cloud Ninja village? After all, our Rock Ninja village and the Cloud Ninja village have an irreconcilable grudge. During the Third Ninja World War, the father of the Fourth Hokage, the Third Hokage, who was known as the strongest shield and the strongest spear, died in the human wave tactics of our Rock Ninja village. Konoha village also has a considerable conflict with Kyumogakure. According to the information I have obtained, although Konoha tried its best to block the news, some news still came out. 10 years ago, in order to obtain the blood boundary of Konoha Hyuga clan, Kyumogakure sent the envoy of Kyumogakure to Konoha village to sign a peace agreement on the pretext of negotiation. At night, they sneaked into Konoha village to steal the heir of Hyuga clan, but were killed by the patriarch of Hyuga clan. Later, Kyumogakure threatened Konoha with the killing of the negotiation envoy, asking Konoha to hand over the murderer. The Konoha high-level officials headed by Sarutobi Hiruzen chose to compromise, and they also put pressure on the Hyuga clan in their own village very weakly. Let the Hyuga clan hand over the murderer. Hearing this, Kuratsuchi said, I'm a little anxious. Tell me what happened to Grandpa later. Okay. The one who killed the Kumogakure was the Hyuga clan leader, Hyuga Hayashi, so there was no choice but for Hyuga Hayashi's younger brother, Hyuga Hayashi, to commit suicide in his brother's place. Kuratsuchi was puzzled when he heard this, and asked Anoki beside him, Grandpa, didn't you say that Konoha was the strongest village? Anoki shook his head slightly when he heard this. That was just the past. Konoha has the famous Konoha White Fang Hatake Sakumo, the Konoha Three Ninjas, and the Golden Flash Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina behind them. Of course, they are the strongest, but Grandpa, how can you be sure that Konoha village will help us? Anoki heard this and laughed. If the Hokage is still Sarutobi Hiruzen, he will definitely not help us, but the current Hokage is the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato. Kuratsuchi heard this, his bright eyes narrowed slightly, and smiled sweetly, Grandpa, why don't you let me take this letter and go to Konoha village to ask for help from the fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato? Anoki, who was standing aside, heard this and knew what his granddaughter was thinking. Isn't it just to go to Konoha to see if the fourth Hokage looks good? Anoki didn't expose this. After all, girls are thin-skinned, so, Anoki handed the letter that he had written when they talked just now to Kuratsuchi. When you arrive in Konoha, pay attention to the etiquette and don't let the people of Konoha village see our jokes. Anoki called 2 guards and said, you two and Kuratsuchi go to Konoha village. Remember to be safe on the road. The 3 of them bowed slightly to Anoki and turned away. When Anoki saw the 3 of them leave completely, the smile on his face slowly faded, and his pair of old and turbid eyes were bright and shining. At this time, the tall and burly Huangtu walked in and said, Father, everything is ready, just waiting for your order. When Anoki heard this, a trace of solemnity flashed across his old face, and he walked out first. Huangtu hurriedly followed him. So far, under the leadership of the 3rd generation Tsuchikage Anoki, 3,000 ninjas were fully armed and rushed to the border of the land of Earth. Chapter 85. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side, in the land of lightning, the Cloud Village, this is a place surrounded by mountains. In the office of the Reikage in the Reikage building, a muscular man with dark skin, thick eyebrows and big eyes sat in the middle seat. This man was none other than the leader of the Cloud Village, the 4th Reikage AI. Standing next to him was a tall woman with a healthy wheat-colored complexion. The woman had short red hair. He was the assistant of the 4th Reikage, Ma Bai. There was also a man and a woman next to them. The woman had a head of rice-brown hair tied into a braid that fell to her hips. Her face was beautiful and gave people a feeling of being a beautiful girl from a small family. Another big man kept mumbling in his mouth. Rock was wearing a pair of sunglasses and a hood on his head, which tightly wrapped his head. He was the brother of the 4th Reikage. He was also the 8-Tails Jinchuriki of the Cloud Village, Killer Bee. The woman next to him was also the 2-Tails Jinchuriki of the Cloud Village. The two were wooden people. The 4th Hokage standing by couldn't help but see veins popping up on his forehead when he saw his brother like this. Damn it, his fists were hard, and he couldn't help but roar, listen to me, you idiot, shake it, Baga Yalu. Big brother is a fool. Killer Bee saw his big brother's look and said disapprovingly. Ding ding ding. Just when the 4th Reikage was about to get angry, a knock on the door interrupted the two. Seeing this, the 4th Reikage took a deep breath and adjusted his emotions and continued. Come in. A sturdy ninja wearing a forehead protector from the Cloud Village came in from outside the door. He knelt on one knee and said, Lord Reikage, there is news from the front. Captain Darui led more than 100 ninjas and eliminated half of the Iwagakure ninjas stationed at the border of the land of Earth. Good job. If the opponent's Kage-level strongman comes, don't act rashly. You can come back directly if necessary. I will also send Yakido and Killer Bee to support. the Cloud Village ninja showed a touch of joy on his face when he heard this, and then retreated. On the other side, Minato was discussing spiritual pressure with Unohana Retsu and Rukia in the Hokage's office. At this time, the door of the Hokage's office was knocked. Minato frowned and said, "Come in." Then he saw the long purple-haired Umbu ninja Yuzuki Yugao walked in, looked at Minato and slowly said, "Hokage-sama, the third-generation Tsuchikage of the Rock Village in the Land of Earth has sent his granddaughter Kuratsuchi as the envoy of the Rock Village. Now, they have arrived at Konoha Village." Minato was a little surprised when he heard this, so he asked, "Did they say why they came?" Yuzuki Yugao shook his head slightly when he heard this, and said, "They didn't say what the specific matter was, but they said they came to find Hokage-sama for something important." When Minato heard Yuzuki Yugao say this, a thoughtful look rose in his heart, and then he raised his head and said, "You go and notify them to come over." Yuzuki Yugao nodded slightly when he heard this, and slowly retreated to do the task assigned by Minato. On the other side, Kuratsuchi was waiting anxiously at the entrance of Konoha Village. He said to Gang Zidi and Shinyu Izumo who were watching the gate, "I really have something to ask you, the fourth Hokage. Please help me, brothers. Let the three of us go in." Just as they were grinding their teeth here, Yuzuki Yugao, who came out of the Hokage's office, finally arrived. She looked at Kuratsuchi, who looked anxious, calmly, and slowly said, "Come in with me. The Hokage wants to see you." Kuratsuchi, who was standing by, was overjoyed when he heard this. On the surface, he still looked calm and indifferent. He slowly said, "Thank you very much." Then he followed Yuzuki Yugao and his group to the Hokage's office. Minato was sitting in the Hokage's office, enjoying the treatment of an emperor. Unohana Retsu rubbed Minato's shoulders, and Rukia fed Minato tea. He was so happy. Just as Minato was enjoying himself, a familiar knock on the door came again. Unohana Retsu, who was rubbing Minato's shoulders, smiled and slowly left behind Minato. Rukia did the same. Minato cleared his throat and said to the outside, "Come in." Yuzuki Yugao led a few people in. Minato saw a girl who looked about 16 or 17 years old following Yuzuki Yugao. The girl was wearing a forehead protector from the Rock Village, a pair of big eyes that were very smart, a white and jade-like face, a pretty face, and a pink cherry mouth. She was wearing a ninja vest from the Rock Village on the outside, a red short-sleeved tights on the inside, and fishnet pants on the bottom, which made her already slender legs even more seductive. This was also the first time Minato saw the legendary leg shadow in Naruto. It must be said that this pair of long legs was really amazing. Wrong, being a gun stand. No, it's a pity not to ride a tricycle. The appearance is impeccable and the figure is okay. This is also the first time that Kuratsuchi saw it in the true sense. Golden Flash Namikaze Minato, a pair of beautiful eyes slightly lit up. What my grandfather said to me before was indeed right. The fourth generation Hokage is really handsome, with golden hair, a pair of deep and spiritual blue eyes, handsome face, and a kind temperament. But why is my heart beating so fast? Minato looked at the blushing girl in front of him, and slowly said, "What does the third generation Tsuchikage ask you to come to me for?" Kuratsuchi, who was standing aside, saw Namikaze Minato and called his grandfather as the old man. He was a little happy in his heart. Isn't it true that he was stunned for a while, and his little face was flushed red, like a ripe apple? When Minato saw this, he was not angry, but instead had a bad feeling in his heart. Could it be that the special skill friend of women given by the system would have an effect on Kuratsuchi? Chapter 86. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Thinking of this, Minato coughed slightly. Kuratsuchi, who was lost in his imagination, slowly came back to his senses. Seeing that the eyes of the people around him were all focused on him, he couldn't help but feel embarrassed and secretly cursed himself for not being good enough. It's not like he hasn't seen handsome guys before, but Minato is much more handsome than them. Then he bowed slightly to Minato and said, "Hokage, this is a letter written to you by our third generation Tsuchikage." Minato was a little surprised to see this. He looked at Kuratsuchi's hand and saw that the other party was holding a letter. Rukia, who was standing by, slowly walked forward, glanced at Kuratsuchi, then took the letter, walked back to Minato's side, and handed the letter to Minato. Minato took the letter handed over by Rukia and read it. The more he read, the more exciting the expression on Minato's face became. Anoki, the old man, actually played a beauty trick on this Hokage. Minato looked up at Kuratsuchi opposite him, and saw that Kuratsuchi's face was blushing, and his beautiful eyes did not dare to look into Minato's eyes. Seeing this, Minato slowly said, "The Cloud Village is going to go to war with your Rock Village." Seeing this, Kuratsuchi nodded quickly. She was extremely anxious. She was worried that something might happen to her grandfather. Minato saw that Kuratsuchi was a little anxious and smiled slightly and said, "You go back first. Let me think about this matter carefully." Kuratsuchi was a little disappointed, but there was nothing he could do. He could only bow to Minato Namikaze on the side and said, "Thank you, Lord Hokage. In this case, we will go back and wait for good news." After saying that, she looked at Minato deeply with her beautiful eyes, and then left with the two of them. Minato looked at the people who left, slowly sat on the Hokage chair, and said to Yuzuki Yugao in front of him, "Go and notify Kakashi, Yuhi Kurenai, and Mitarashi Anko first, and let them prepare for the battle." Yuzuki Yugao heard this. "Yes, Lord Hokage," then retreated. The reason why Namikaze Minato wanted to go to the battlefield of Iwagakure and Kumogakure was to see if he could trigger the system's rewards. After all, the system rewards he got in the previous few times were really tempting. At this time, Rukia next to him asked, "You are not really going to support?" Minato smiled and said, "Of course not, our support is fake, but we are really watching the fun." Unohana Retsu took the letter written by Oanoki to Minato and said slowly, "I didn't expect that the third-generation Tsuchikage actually wanted to marry his granddaughter to you." Minato chuckled when he heard this. "I have two beauties around me, and all the others have to stand aside." The two women rolled their eyes when they heard this, and they didn't believe the nonsense Minato said at all. Minato came out and looked at the people in front of him, led by Kakashi. Minato said, "It's time to get back at the Kumogakure for bullying us for so many years. 20 years ago, during the reign of the Third Hokage, the elite Jonin of the Kumogakure were sent to Konoha village to kidnap our village's Ninetales Jinchuriki, who is also my wife Uzumaki Kushina, at night. I'm sure everyone still remembers it." When everyone heard this, a figure of a woman with long red hair appeared in their minds unconsciously. When Minato said this, he glanced at the Hyuga clan, and Hyuga Hayashi's heart skipped a beat when he saw this. "I don't know why Minato was looking at me. I didn't expect that the same scene and the same thing would happen again 10 years later." In order to seize the Byakugan of the Hyuga clan, the Cloud Ninja village kidnapped the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan leader. I'm right about this, right? Hyuga clan leader. Hyuga Hayashi heard the words and quickly agreed with the Hokage. "It was the Cloud Ninja village that kidnapped my beloved daughter. I was anxious and killed them by mistake." And Sarutobi Hiruzen, who was in power at the time, was also a man who could only use some conspiracy tactics against his own people, but was weak and incompetent to foreign enemies. He always gave in and forced my brother Hisashi to death. At the same time, he had an amazing guess in his heart, that is, the Hokage was going to take action against the Cloud Ninja village. If so, could his brother's revenge be avenged? Thinking of this, Hyuga Hayashi was excited. Minato looked at the angry crowd below and knew that it was almost time, so he raised his arm to signal everyone to be quiet. Looking at Kakashi and others, "We are going to set off now, but remember that on the battlefield, all of us should focus on our own safety." Everyone was a little confused. "We only have more than 700 ninjas to the battlefield this time. We are mainly going to help the third Tsuchikage Anoki to keep order, understand?" Then Minato led Kakashi, Might Guy, Mitarashi Anko, Yuhi Kurenai and other senior ninjas to the battlefield at the border of the Land of Earth. Unohana Retsu and Rukia smiled at each other when they saw this. At this time, Unohana Retsu said to Rukia, "Let's go, the two of us, and guard Konoha for Minato." At this time, the civilians of Konoha saw Minato leading everyone away, and their eyes kept flashing with admiration. This is their Hokage. Look how powerful he is. He will attack directly. If anyone disobeys, he will just do it, unlike the old man Sandai who was in power. When he came to your doorstep and almost put a knife on your neck, you still greeted him with a smile like a grandson. On the other side, in a dark base, there were all kinds of experimental materials, such as the 3 Magatama Sharingan, or Hashirama cells. A feminine man with long black hair and a pale face appeared. His eyes were different from those of ordinary people. He had golden vertical pupils and purple eyeshadow on his eyes. This guy was Orochimaru. Chapter 87. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This man is Orochimaru, one of the 3 ninjas. He was a little surprised when he saw the pale and sickly face of the boy in front of him. This boy is Uchiha Sasuke. Orochimaru didn't know why Uchiha Sasuke came to him. He remembered that Uchiha Sasuke seemed to be training with Kakashi, so Orochimaru asked, "Isn't Sasuke training with Kakashi? How come you have time to come to me?" Sasuke said expressionlessly. Teacher Kakashi was called away by the 4th Hokage to perform a mission. Before he left, he asked me to come to you. He said you have a way to make me stronger. Orochimaru nodded slowly and said, "Come with me." On the other side, in a vast area, smoke and dust were rolling, and the ninjas of the 2 sides stood opposite each other. The people of the rock village on the side looked at the ninjas of the cloud village on the opposite side and couldn't help shouting, "What do you want to do in the cloud village?" The ninjas of the cloud village on the opposite side disagreed and slowly said, "What we want is also very simple, nothing more than ceding land and money." The leading rock ninja shouted, "Don't even think about it." At this time, a tall and burly man with short white hair and dark skin came out from the side of the cloud village. This man was Darui, the elite ninja of the cloud village. Seeing this, Darui said lazily, "If that's the case, don't blame me for being cruel," and then greeted the cloud village ninjas behind, and then the 2 sides began to fight. Earth style, earthquake core. Lightning style, lightning ball. Seeing this, Darui quickly formed seals with both hands and performed ninjutsu, water escape, water array wall. Then he used lightning escape, market wave. Darui first used water escape to attack the enemy on the opposite side. The water array wall spread to the bodies of several ninjas from the rock village on the opposite side. Seeing this, Darui secretly said, "Good opportunity." Then he made a seal with both hands, lightning escape, gratitude wave, and the ninjas covered with water screamed immediately. The ninjas from the rock village were furious and roared, "You guys, die!" Earth escape, rock fist. On the hands of the ninja, pieces of rock slowly appeared, covering his arms, and hit Darui on the opposite side. Seeing this, Darui dodged to the right and then punched the ninja from the rock village with his backhand. The ninja was punched away by Darui. On the other side, in a dark place, Uchiha Obito stood in a cave, holding the Uchiha fan, the token of the Uchiha clan leader, in his hand. Otsutsuki Agarwood, also known as Black Zetsu, said, "Obito's Kumogakure and Iwagakure have gone to war." Obito frowned slightly under the Uzumaki mask when he heard this, and said, "I didn't expect such a change. The reason why Uzumaki Nagato didn't dare to capture the tailed beast should be because of the resurrection of Namikaze Minato." Black Zetsu said, "Then let's catch the 4-tailed beast, the 8-tailed beast and the 2-tailed beast now." "No, if we want to catch it, we will catch the 1-tailed beast. Everyone knows that this guy is the weakest among the tailed beasts. The strongest one is of course the 9-tailed beast, followed by the 8-tailed beast." On the other side, the 3rd Tsuchikage Anoki finally arrived at the battlefield. Looking at the corpses all over the ground, his eyes were burning with hatred. Looking at the few people who were still struggling not far away, he couldn't help but get angry and released his famous skills to the dozens of Kumogakure ninjas in front of him. Dust release, original world peeling technique. Then a cuboid about 5 or 6 meters wide and more than 20 meters long appeared in Anoki's hand and hit the ninjas of the cloud village opposite. Darui, who was standing by, showed a serious look on his face when he saw this, and shouted loudly, "Everyone, be careful and leave there quickly." As soon as Darui's voice fell, dozens of Cloud Village ninjas hit by Anoki's dust release instantly turned into ions in the ninja world. Darui was a little shocked when he saw this scene. He didn't expect that the third Tsuchikage was so powerful that he killed 20 or 30 elite Chunins with one move. At this time, Darui had the idea of retreating in his heart, but he couldn't help but threaten the third Tsuchikage. Third Tsuchikage, you are attacking us like this, are you trying to start a war? Anoki laughed loudly after hearing this, and after a long time, the laughter gradually disappeared, replaced by a cold face, and said indifferently, start a fight, do you really think I won't do anything? You are just a junior, how dare you be so presumptuous, do you really think I dare not kill you? That when the third Tsuchikage said this, powerful chakra and strong killing intent burst out from his body. Darui felt the killing intent bursting out from Anoki and knew that the third Tsuchikage was really going to kill him, so he used the instant body technique to escape, but how could his speed be comparable? The third Tsuchikage Anoki was directly, Anoki's rock-wrapped fist hit his body, and he screamed and flew backwards, flying 4 or 5 meters in the air, and fell heavily to the ground, leaving spiderweb-like cracks on the ground. Chapter 88. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Anoki used ninjutsu again and attacked the seriously injured Darui. At the critical moment, an octopus tentacle blocked Anoki's attack. Anoki frowned slightly and dodged quickly. On the battlefield, a tall ninja from the Cloud Village appeared, wearing a white hat on his head and a pair of sunglasses on his eyes. Dodging the attack, Anoki raised his head, a gleam of light flashed in his turbid eyes. He looked up and saw the figure appearing on the battlefield with a solemn look on his face. He had a bad premonition in his heart, but on the surface he said, the eight-tailed Jinchuriki of the Cloud Village, do you want to provoke a war between the Rock Village and the Cloud Village? That the eight-tailed Jinchuriki killer bee did not see this, and returned to Anoki's words, but asked, Bage Yalu, Kong Yalu, it was you, the bastard, who injured Darui. You are so hateful, then bowed slightly and attacked Anoki not far away. Seeing this, Anoki's pupils shrank, and he quickly performed ninjutsu to let his body fly into the sky. On Anoki's forehead, drops of cold sweat appeared. If he hadn't dodged quickly just now, he would not be able to bear being hit by this reckless man. Directly cast Earth Escape on Killer Bee, Earth Escape plus Rock Technique. For a moment, Killer Bee actually felt as if a mountain was pressing on him, and it was very difficult to move. Anoki beside him was not having a good time either, because using this ninjutsu required a lot of chakra. Anoki's heart sank slightly, because he felt that two very powerful chakras were approaching. If he hadn't been lucky, he would have controlled Killer Bee. Then he saw Anoki shouting, Dust Escape Original Realm Peeling Technique, and a transparent cylinder appeared in his hand, facing Killer Bee below. Killer Bee, have my power. At this time, the 8 tails in Killer Bee's body spoke. Okay, little 8, then he saw that a layer of blood-red chakra coat appeared on Killer Bee's body, which was formed by the chakra of the tailed beast. In the original work, Naruto used the chakra of the 9 tails to block Uchiha Sasuke's Amaterasu when fighting with Sasuke in the Valley of the End. The body, which had been slowed down by Anoki's super heavy rock technique, suddenly became much more relaxed and turned into a bloody afterimage to avoid Anoki's attack. Anoki's dust escape created a 3-meter deep pit on the ground. Then Anoki looked around with vigilance, always on guard against Killer Bee's attack, because he felt that he had not hit Killer Bee with that blow just now. Suddenly, Anoki felt a strong wind coming from behind him, and he turned around to resist it, but unfortunately he found it a little too late, and he had no time to perform ninjutsu. He had to grit his teeth, cross his hands, and block in front of his chest. He was hit by Killer Bee's powerful blow, and the whole person flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. After sliding 2 or 3 meters on the ground, his heart sank. He didn't expect the opponent to be so powerful. He couldn't resist just this punch. Anoki slowly put his slightly trembling hands behind his back, pretending to be calm. He was praying for Kuratsuchi in his heart. You have to fight for your grandfather. If the reinforcements from Konoha don't come, I will die here. Although Anoki was a little scared, he still said stubbornly, the 8 tails Jinchuriki of the Cloud Village is really powerful. I admit defeat. Kurabi, who was standing by, saw this and was fooled. He started to sing, you are the strongest person in the Cloud Village except for the stupid brother. At this time, an angry voice came, are you stupid? The old guy is obviously dying, he is stalling for time. The fourth Hokage and two Yakido arrived together. Inoki saw this and thought to himself, not good, but on the surface it's still Tao. I wonder what the fourth Hokage is doing here. That the fourth Hokage heard this and laughed. The reason why I came here is not very simple. Of course, I came to ask the third Hokage for money. You won't refuse to give it to me. Inoki's face sank when he heard this. At this time, several figures appeared behind Inoki. They were the leg shadows Kuroto and Huangtu who went to Konoha village for help. Inoki saw Kuroto coming and hurriedly asked, "What did the fourth Hokage of Konoha village, Minato Namikaze, say?" Kuroto saw this, he lowered his head slightly and said a little disappointedly, "The fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze said, he said he would think about it, and then he asked me to come back first." Inoki saw this, he sighed, stretched out his hand and patted Kuroto on the head, "It's okay." The fourth Hokage heard the conversation between Inoki and Kuroto. Some couldn't believe their ears, so they asked Kuratsuchi, "Little girl, you just said that you went to Konoha village to invite Konoha's fourth Hokage Namikaze." Kuratsuchi heard, "I'm a little unhappy." "Yes, I invited Konoha village's fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato." The fourth Hokage said with a hint of sarcasm, "Even if you invited Konoha's fourth Hokage Namikaze Minato, what's wrong? He has been dead for so many years, and his strength may still be standing still. Or it may have declined." Because in the eyes of the fourth Hokage, the reason why Namikaze Minato was able to kill Konoha's third Hokage Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo was entirely because the two were old and their strength was no longer at its peak. He and Killer Bee could definitely defeat the two easily together. Looking at Haidu in front of him, he said, "Besides, my two brothers have become much stronger in recent years than during the Third War. Even if he appears in front of us, we too are not afraid of him." At this time, a gentle voice came, "Really? So, now you are very brave." Chapter 89. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Inoki and his companions heard the voice, they frowned slightly and looked at the figure on the battlefield. They saw that the man had golden hair fluttering in the wind and was wearing the fourth Hokage's divine robe. His eyes were bright and his handsome face was filled with a sunny and handsome smile. When they saw the man, they couldn't believe their eyes and asked suspiciously, "Are you really the fourth Hokage of Konoha, Minato Namikaze?" Minato had a playful expression on his face when he heard it, and looked at Inoki and asked, "What do you think?" Inoki was stunned at first, and then he laughed. Inoki was very happy, but the fourth Hokage was not happy. He stared at Minato in front of him, wanting to see if the man in front of him was really the fourth Hokage Minato Namikaze. After all, he and Killer Bee didn't even join forces to defeat each other, but instead became the stepping stone for the other party to become famous in the ninja world. Now, after more than 10 years, I met my old rival again. It would be a lie to say that I am not excited. Minato, who was standing by, saw this and smiled and greeted the fourth Hokage not far away. "Long time no see, AI." The fourth Hokage, who was standing by, saw this. "Are you really the Golden Flash Minato Namikaze?" Of course, the news of my resurrection has spread all over the ninja world now. You, the fourth Hokage, can't be unaware of it. In that case, you, the fourth Hokage of the Cloud Village, are really unqualified. The fourth Hokage was upset when he heard this. "You are still as irritating as you were during the Third World War." At this time, the ninjas of the Cloud Village and the Rock Village on the battlefield stopped fighting, because the news of Minato's resurrection was not widely publicized. But there was no way to hide it. The news of the Golden Flash's resurrection in Konoha village had spread all over the ninja world for so long, they all looked at this curiously. The fourth Hokage of Konoha, whose name has spread throughout the ninja world during this period, was also curious. This is the border of the land of Earth. What is the fourth Hokage of Konoha, Minato Namikaze, doing here? The girl Kuratsuchi on the side looked at Minato's figure with a trace of admiration in her eyes. At the same time, she was also regretful in her heart. Why did she meet such a good man only now? At this time, Killer Bee suddenly said, "I remember that you are Minato Namikaze." "That I remember that you, didn't you die a long time ago? Minato looked at this curiously. He had only seen this guy in anime in his previous life. He didn't expect that this guy really looked the same as in the anime. At this time, the 8 tails in Killer Bee's body suddenly said, "Killer Bee, be careful. I feel that this guy is a little unusual. That I actually feel that this guy's chakra seems to be less than that of our tailed beasts." Kurabi also put away the contempt on his face after hearing this. At the beginning, Kurabi did not recognize that the blonde man who suddenly appeared on the battlefield was Minato Namikaze. Now that he recognized him, even after so many years, he was still a little scared. Back then, he and his elder brother did not get the upper hand over the other party. At this time, the voice of the system sounded in Minato's mind. Ding! A sign-in location was found. Do you want to sign in? Minato listened to the long-lost system prompt in his mind and said with some joy, "Sign in. Sign in quickly." He has been busy for so long, and his 2 beautiful wives at home have not taken the time to cultivate feelings. He ran to this place where no one is going to shit. Isn't it all for this system reward? Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully, triggering the critical hit reward, and obtaining the chakra version of the Kido scroll. You can use chakra to release ninjutsu without making hand seals. You only need to remember the chant of Kido. After becoming proficient, you can release Kido without chanting. Receive 10 points for signing in. The current sign-in points are 50 points. Please keep up the good work. After hearing this, Minato took a deep breath. This time the reward was beyond Minato's expectation. The price of this ninjutsu version of the Kido scroll sold in the system mall requires more than 100 points. I signed in so many times, but the total points I got were only 50 points. In this way, I can save the points I got and exchange them for other items in the mall. With this scroll, Naruto and Kakashi can improve their strength to a higher level. Although the power of the scroll may not be as strong as that of the spiritual pressure, it is enough in the ninja world. Minato came back to his senses, and his pair of blue eyes looked at the 4th generation Raikage and the others. A gleam of light flashed in his eyes. They were a little unnatural because of Minato's gaze. The 4th generation Raikage suddenly said to Minato, "Namikaze Minato, Killer Bee and I failed to defeat you back then, this time I will defeat you squarely." Minato heard this and shook his head slightly and said, "Unfortunately, your opponent this time is not me." The 4th Raikage was stunned and asked, "What do you mean by this, bastard?" Chapter 90. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Minato looked at the furious 4th Raikage, smiled slightly, and turned to look in the direction not far away. I saw a figure rushing towards him from not far away. Minato bowed and said, "Hokage-sama." Minato smiled slightly and said, "You are coming quite fast." Then he looked at the 4th Raikage not far away and said, "4th Raikage, your opponent is here." The 4th Raikage's heart sank when he saw this. A gloomy look appeared on his face. He thought that Minato looked down on him. Who is he? He is the 4th Raikage of the Cloud Village. Now Minato is looking for an unknown kid to be his opponent. Isn't this humiliating him? Kakashi, who was standing aside, heard that his teacher said that the opponent was the 4th Raikage of the Cloud Village. For some reason, he suddenly felt excited in his heart. Even Kakashi himself couldn't explain this feeling clearly, but on the surface, there was still a trace of solemnity, suppressing the excitement in his heart. But Kaka knew that this feeling started from the transplant of Hashirama cells and Uchiha Madara blood by Orochimaru, but Kakashi liked this feeling very much. This feeling of full of power was really exciting. Just in the direction where Kakashi came, 3 figures appeared again. They were the elite Jonin of Konoha, Yuhi Kurenai, Mitarashi Enko and Hyuga Hayashi. The 3 came to Minato, bowed to Minato together, and then retreated behind Minato. At this time, the irritable Enko saw Kakashi standing aside calmly, and couldn't help saying, "Kakashi, what are you doing, running so fast?" After looking at the hot-bodied Enko, Kakashi did not respond, but instead set his sights on the ninjas of the Cloud Ninja Village opposite. Enko saw that Kakashi ignored her, snorted, and stopped talking. Seeing Hondo's appearance, Yuhi Kurenai shook her head and couldn't help complaining in her heart. Her best friend really couldn't see the situation clearly. Hinata Hayashi on the side looked at the ninjas of the Cloud Village opposite, and hatred flashed in his eyes. His brother was killed by this group of damn guys. This time, with the help of the fourth Hokage, he also wanted to kill more cloud ninjas to avenge his brother. Minato on the side noticed that Hayashi was abnormal and was a little surprised. Then he thought of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Shimura Danzo. These two guys were killed by him. Hayashi's hatred naturally shifted to the cloud village that caused this tragedy. Minato saw that almost all his people had arrived, so he waved his hand and said, "Okay, everyone is here, we can start the fight." The fourth Hokage, who was not far away, saw this scene and could no longer hold back. "Minato Namikaze, you guy, stop right there." As soon as he finished speaking, he rushed towards Minato Namikaze who was not far away. Kakashi, who was standing by, saw this, his eyes turned cold, and then he used the chakra in his body to rush towards the fourth Hokage who was rushing towards him. The fourth Hokage snorted coldly when he saw this. He didn't believe that Minato Namikaze's disciples could block his attack. It was as if he saw the scene of himself killing Kakashi with one punch, and then he thought of Minato Namikaze's painful look, and he couldn't stop feeling happy in his heart, and his face unconsciously showed a ferocious expression. An incredible scene appeared, and Kakashi also punched out, and the fists of both sides collided with each other, making a bang, and after the blow, both of them retreated 2 steps. Everyone took a deep breath when they saw this scene. What did we just see? Someone could actually fight against the fourth Hokage with physical strength. Inoki was shocked when he saw this scene. Inoki knew that this white-haired ninja was a disciple of Minato Namikaze. He could actually fight against the fourth Hokage with physical strength. The fourth Hokage looked gloomy and looked at the white-haired kid in front of him. He didn't expect that Minato Namikaze's disciple could compete with him in physical strength without losing. Minato Namikaze was a little surprised when he saw this. He didn't expect that Kakashi, who was in normal state, could fight against the old-fashioned Kage-level strongman with physical strength without losing. In the previous attack, Kakashi felt the opponent's speed and strength and was also shocked. If he hadn't transplanted Hashirama cells and injected Uchiha Madara's blood, he might not be able to block the attack of the fourth Hokage just now. Seeing this, the fourth Hokage directly activated the lightning chakra mode, which was much faster. He was completely wrapped in blue lightning, and arcs flashed on his body from time to time. AI was flashing with lightning all over his body, and his hands were shining with dazzling lightning. He raised his hand knife and wanted to chop Kakashi on the opposite side. Thunder duck neck. Kaka seeing this, Kakashi's dark eyes turned into 3 scarlet magatama, and his eyes were as sharp as torches. He pulled out the white fan blade on his back, which was filled with cold light. Then Kakashi infused the lightning attribute chakra into the short sword to increase the destructive power and sharpness of the white fan blade. As Kakashi injected lightning attribute chakra into the blade, the originally plain blade was instantly surrounded by lightning and filled with powerful lightning power.